Did you see Colt's arm last night?
Elbows are not supposed to bend that way. I'm sorry.
Hey, if they want aid, no con all week. So.
I can pick the Lions next week.
Just think in 2 weeks when it's the Washington versus the Dolphins, you think people in Spain are like going, this is what you give us. We give you our attention you're going to give us Marcus Mariota versus Tua.
All right.
Let's go. You got to go. Go get some cookies. Cookies. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Week 12 of the High School Football Preview Show on YouTube, Facebook, and Public Access Channel 13 here at the El Tunamir High School Football Preview Show. Before we start, we want to thank last week's guest, our 1980s aerobics instructor, Cartman.
Very good.
And Big Game James for joining us. But the regular guys are back this week, and we got 6 games we're going to talk about. There's 5 on Friday night. There's 1 on Saturday. We're going to get right to them. Friday night's game, it's a rematch from, 2 weeks ago? DuBois, the number 2 seed, at Hollidaysburg, the number 1 seed. This is the 5A championship, and the 6, 8, 9, 10 sounds like a lock to your locker number. But it's DuBois at Hollidaysburg. What can you tell us? Anything new about this game you didn't tell us 2 weeks ago?
Well, this actually is the same situation happened last year. And these teams, and the Hollidaysburg only won the rematch 28-23. And the first game in the regular season had been kind of lopsided. So if you're DuBois, you got to be looking at that like, hey, that gives us some hope. I will also say that DuBois' running back got hurt very early in that first game. And he was on crutches, but he played against Mifflin County last week, and he had 105 yards rushing. So he's healthy. If they can get the running game going, maybe that will make Hollidaysburg a little bit, less hesitant to just go all in on the pass coverages, which they were able to do after that kid got hurt last game. I will also say that DuBois had a couple receivers that ran past Hollidaysburg receivers, and they just
defenders.
Defenders, and they just missed them. So I'm sure DuBois is looking at those on film and thinking, if we could connect with some of these big plays, we might be able to be right in there.
Now, last year, the regular season game was at DuBois, and the championship game was at Hollidaysburg. This year, they're both. I'm curious from your perspective, how does Homer convince those kids, hey, you got to forget about 2 weeks ago? But how do you forget about it? Because wasn't that an unbelievable score? Like, it was
I think it was like 49-0.
Yeah, how do you, as a coach, convince a high school kid, you got to forget it? Because you can't forget about that.
And I don't think you should forget about it.
Okay.
I think you should say, hey, do what you did 2 weeks ago. Now, I think they also have to have in the back of their mind, hey, this was a 5-point game last year in the playoffs the second time around, so not that they should be taking them lightly by any means, but I think you need to have that good feeling going into Friday night.
Were there ever games where you walked in the field and you were intimidated because you were playing a team that especially these DuBois kids know, hey, they just blew us out 2 weeks ago. Is Hollidaysburg's got to count on that a little bit.
But I think, it's the same thing for them. They got to remember, hey, last year we only lost by 5 in the playoffs. So that's a one possession game. That's a winnable game for sure.
And you talked to the DuBois coach. He's kind of a guy who's old school football. It's not like, his kids are.
Yeah, he said it was football. They had a kid get injured, and he was like, hey. I said, do you think you can make adjustments and come back here in 2 weeks and win? And he goes, it's football. We will have to. We will make those adjustments. And, they can throw the ball. They've thrown it against everybody all year, and they have great speed. But I will say that Homer said, at least now Hollidaysburg has seen that speed, and those receivers that outran the defenders for Hollidaysburg. Now those defenders know what that speed's like, and they have, hey, maybe I'll give him an extra step on this coverage this time around because they know he can get past them.
Yeah, our second game we're going to talk about is the District 6 3A Championship. That's at Altoona's Mansion Park. Incidentally, Hollidaysburg will be hosting DuBois for those of you who are watching this before Friday night. But the Huntingdon versus Penn Cambria is at Mansion Park. That's the number 2 seed versus the number 1 seed. And again, Mike can elaborate on this. Huntingdon was 0-10 last year, and they are in the district. I don't think Coach Luco, Tim
Luco.
I don't think we don't cover Huntingdon like we used to, but gosh, I'd like to think he would get lots of votes for Coach of the Year because that's almost a Kurt Signetti like turnaround. You think like that. I mean, did you sit there before the season and think, wow, Huntingdon could be in the?
Well, so just to give you an idea of how far Huntingdon has come this year, if they win this game, it'll be their 9th win this season, and that's how many wins they have combined over the last 6 years.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
And that includes 3 seasons where they won no games. So Huntingdon, regardless of the score of this game, has to consider this season a huge success. And when I talked to Coach Luco, he said, this is a game that we're fortunate to be in. We're happy to be in, but we want to try to take advantage of our opportunities. We don't want to make it easier for Penn Cambria because they already have the advantage of the experience, and they have a lot of versatility. And Coach Luco said they have to take care of the ball and when they have an opportunity to score, they need to take advantage of it. So he did admit that experience is something that concerns him going into this. But you got to remember that Huntingdon just came off a playoff win where they had lost to the Tyrone in the regular season, came back and completely
dominated,
routed them in the playoffs. So this is a team that handled that playoff spotlight well the first time many of these kids ever played a playoff game.
Now, and you've seen Penn Cambria more than once this year.
Yeah.
Being everybody thought about the Lilly kid was a really good athlete. The Bulldozer, their Cam Scatabo, the Vinglish kid. He's Penn Cambria's Cam Scatabo. That's why I've seen pictures of him. He's got the mustache, I think, and everything, but he just runs over people, and defensively, he just runs over people.
Well, yeah, he had 17 tackles last week.
Number 32?
Yes.
Yep, number 32.
And this kid's got these huge shoulder pads, and I'll tell you what, it was cold and windy, and I thought, if I'm a defender and this guy's running at me this cold night, I think I'll just, trip and fall off to the side. I'm not going to try to tackle him.
You can just fall in front of him. Maybe he would fall over you. And the question I want to ask you first is, Luco is outside of Huntingdon. Wasn't he a Tussey Mountain guy?
He was at Tussey Mountain.
Now, think about that. You had somebody outside of Huntingdon come in and change your entire program. How hard of a job is that at the high school level? Because I know college people, people have ties. He's an outsider. He comes in and boom.
It's hard. It has to be almost a culture change in a way, and for him to do that in such short time. I think this is his 2nd season in Huntingdon.
Yeah, 2nd or 3rd.
And to have it completely turned around in that short of time, that's just an incredible job by him.
That is. I just can't believe that halfway during this season, Mike mentioned that they were 0-10 last year, and I thought, well, I can't swear on the air right now, but I did. I thought, oh my gosh, they were 0-10. But you did say they only had what? They had a bunch of people that played on that team.
A bunch of people played, but I will also admit, when we were talking about how close 3A was at the beginning of the season, Huntingdon was the one team I didn't really factor into that.
You were thinking Forest Hills.
PO was going to be better, Tyrone, Forest Hills. Those teams, I didn't really think of Huntingdon as being one of the teams to compete for those 4 playoff spots, much less be in the district championship. So amazing job by those.
And let's not forget about Penn Cambria, though, because Jason Grassi, who was a head coach up there before, but then I think about 5-year hiatus, 6-year hiatus, and then just not to even skip a beat.
Another thing that I forgot to mention is, Tim Luco, at some point, he probably had to, have the players believe that they can start winning too, and that might be the hardest obstacle of them all, honestly. And obviously, they should believe they can win right now.
Yeah, because those elementary kids down there that are now high school kids, when they were going to high school games on Friday night, which is what people in Central Pennsylvania do, they were going to watch Huntingdon lose games.
Yeah.
Now they just have to come up with a slogan because Penn Cambria's got the mountain mentality.
What is Juniata? Juniata College is down there.
Bearcat brutality.
Bearcat.
I like that.
Okay, if that's put on a T-shirt, we would like royalties sent our way, 301 Cayuga Avenue, Altoona, PA. Anyways, our next game we're going to look at, it's 2A semifinals. The first one is Marion Center, 5 seed at McCourt Carroll. And then the other game is Bellwood Annis at Richland. I guess we could talk about Marion Center a little bit against McCourt Carroll. Marion Center, anybody who's going against McCourt Carroll is going to have a tall task. But that was a big win for Marion Center last week against Cambria Heights on the road.
Yeah, and remember, Marion Center's only lost one game this year. They lost to River Valley. That was their only loss. And Camden Rising is a senior quarterback that obviously made it happen last week. Not only does he run in the 2-point conversion to tie the game against Cambria Heights, which we talked about last week, how he runs like a fullback as a quarterback. He also shows his passing skills by throwing a 51-yard touchdown pass to set up that tying pass, and then like I think an 86-yard.
Yeah, we watched that on TV in the newsroom in here. Cambria Heights threw an interception, and then I thought, okay, it's like a punt because it's down there at like the 12-yard line. And then the kid throws, the Rising kid who has the same name as the Utah quarterback from a couple of years, Cam Rising. He throws an 89-yard touchdown pass with like 40 seconds left. And I'm sitting there thinking, geez, but McCourt Carroll looks like just such a tough team. I mean, it's a daunting task.
And also that McCourt Carroll, remember, plays in the Laurel Highlands.
Yeah.
So they're playing higher competition, a little bit tougher competition, and Marion Center is playing against 2A and 1A schools all year.
And now what about Bellwood Annis? Because Bellwood Annis is the Laurel Highlands team now, but how tough is this going to be with them in Richland?
Well, they've played each other 4 times since 2012, and Richland's won all of them. I think the score combined was something like 135-32. Now, I will say that all of those games were before Bellwood joined the Laurel Highlands. And like Andy talked about last week, this is why Bellwood joined the Laurel Highlands, so they're ready for games like this. So I'll go to you here.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to the point where I made about Huntingdon needing to believe that they can beat all the teams that they have. And Bellwood probably needs to have a little bit of the same because Richland has been their bugaboo in the postseason. And like back when I was in Tyrone, Bellwood would win a first-round playoff game, usually a tight game, and then they would have Richland would usually come to Bellwood, and Richland would beat them by multiple scores, and that's not easy. That's not an easy hump to get through, and I think Bellwood has to have that same mentality. You're in the Laurel Highlands now. You're a better program now.
And I think Bellwood Annis. It's like, I think you were the game you tell me where they just line up. I mean, we kid around about the mentality thing here. Bellwood Annis has always been like, we're not afraid of anybody. I mean, you may beat us and run over us, but they basically line up foot to foot saying, we're going to just run the ball right down you. You're going to stop us because you're never going to hear somebody say, man, Bellwood passed for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's just, at least in my time frame back here at the Mirror, I don't think Bellwood was like that. But I got to think they're not afraid of Richland. I would be afraid of Richland.
To your point, though, I mean, they're never going to be the school that passes the ball 30 times a game, and they want to win on the ground for sure.
And I'll say both these teams lost to McCourt Carroll, and Bellwood was right there with McCourt Carroll. Richland lost by a significant amount of points. So, I mean, you can look at that and some of the common opponents they've had, and Bellwood should be able to have a chance in this game. It's just a matter of they cannot do what they did last week, where I think they fumbled like 4 times. They need to hold on to the ball, and they can't, like, similar to what Tim Luco told me Huntingdon needs to do. Bellwood can't give Richland opportunities because Richland's going to create their own opportunities.
Yeah. Our next game, 2 locals playing each other. Do we know who's covering this game? Is this your game by chance? Or do we know?
This might be John Fleck.
Oh, Claysburg Kimmel, the 3 seed at Juniata Valley, the 2 seed. Does this have a potential to be a high-scoring affair? Because we know Claysburg Kimmel scores a lot of
It
points.
was a high-scoring game the first time. I think it was something like 44-31 Juniata
Valley.
So.
So they have the edge then?
Well, you could say that, but Claysburg Kimmel has not lost a game since that game.
Ooh, okay.
Juniata Valley lost to Mount Union a couple weeks after that, but Claysburg used that game as like a, hey, they fell to 2-2, and they thought, we want to be in Mansion Park this year. That was their goal at the beginning of the season. When I was at ICC Media Day, they said, we want to play in the district championship game. That is our goal. And when they were 2-2, that goal was nowhere in sight because they were near the bottom of the district rankings. And since that point, when they lost Juniata Valley, this team has been a different team. But I will say this, Juniata Valley, it's not that long ago that Juniata Valley was competing for district championships. I mean, in 2021, they only lost to BG in the district championship 24-21. And a couple of years before that, they beat BG and won a district championship. So this is a school that is also a proud football school, and they've had a couple bad years, and they are really hungry to get back to Mansion Park as well.
And these small schools like this too, I got to think one of the big thing is you can't avoid injuries either because there's no depth in a single A school. Is that because I know you played at a single A school with Mo Valley?
Yeah.
You didn't have a lot of kids there. I got to feel like who's healthy at this point of the year right now? Week 12.
And back when I played, we still had like 30 kids on our team at least.
And 30 is a lot for a single A school.
Yeah, exactly. And most of the time now you see 20, sometimes even fewer, and then you saw what bit Mount Union earlier.
And Mount Union's a double A school.
School. So I mean, avoiding injuries are definitely, it's definitely crucial at a single A school like that. But both these teams are playing really good football. Again, neither of these teams should be afraid of each other, so to speak.
And again, that game's at Juniata Valley Friday night. Our next game is Saturday night. This game is at Hollidaysburg. It's at 5:00. So you should be done with the Penn State Indiana game, I would think. By then you can go over. A lot of BG fans are playing like Notre Dame, and Notre Dame plays at 7:30 that night. I actually looked that up because I know BG. It's just a thing. If you like BG, you like Notre Dame. Homer Center at Bishop Guilfoyle. Homer Center is the 4 seed. BG obviously the one. The question, I'm just going to go right. Does Homer Center have a chance in this game?
Well, there was a lot of times where Homer Center played BG over the past decade or so, and everyone said Homer Center had no chance. And Homer Center has been one of the few teams that has beaten BG, and they've beaten them a couple times. They have went on to go to the state championship game after beating BG. So Homer Center, the kids will believe. The question is can this group of kids get that done? We'll see. I mean, BG, remember, they're not too far removed from, kind of a humbling experience against McCourt Carroll, giving up that many points defensively. BG is a really good team, but you could argue that they're not quite as deep as they've been in the past, because remember, they came into this year with Torian Consiglio as going to be their top running back. He was going to be a really good linebacker for them, and they haven't skipped much of a beat since losing him, but everyone kind of has to move up a spot, right? So then that means like the depth is a little bit more shallow. And so you never know. You got to go in and play your best game if you're Homer Center. But if there's one team that you're going to count out, you can't count out Homer Center.
Now, you've only seen BG once, right? It was the first game.
I saw Homer Center once 2 weeks ago.
Okay, yeah. Now, did they have anybody on there where you thought that guy could take care of Jake? Because Jake Kissel seems to me like if you had anybody who could eliminate him from their event and then force other guys to make, but does Homer Center have anybody jump to your mind? Or does their defense look like a defense that could?
Well, I'll say one thing: the Homer Center's quarterback. The kid's name is slipping my mind right now, but that kid can run. That's it. He can run. He can make plays with his legs, and the running back is not bad too. They have a decent offensive line. I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park by any means for BG, but if Homer Center has any chance, that quarterback has to get it done, especially with his legs. I think.
But not that we promote gambling here, but would you not take BG and give the points to Homer Center? Would you not do that?
Depending on what the line is.
We would not know what the line is. Would you might even guess what that line? I do not do that stuff. I'm not Johnny Vegas here. Like Mike isn't either, but I know somebody here in the room enjoys a healthy dollar bet here and there on things.
Love it.
But anyways, we're gonna go right to our fun stuff now. I'm curious to see who Andy's line of the week's gonna be.
It's a hat! Short steps. Short steps are better than long steps.
Wow. Since we've talked about him so much today, Huntingdon.
Huntingdon.
I feel like we're a Huntingdon show today. Like, it's not bad.
The Penn Cambria, we like you guys too, don't we?
Absolutely, we do. But hey, the 42-7 win over Tyrone was pretty impressive. That's going to catch your eye every time. They only allowed 71 rushing yards, so I mean their defensive line is my line of the week. So those guys are AJ Ravello, Wyatt Query, Landon Erdman, Owen Hernkane, Noah Metz. They all rotated throughout the game. So
And Erdman's a running back. Think about that.
Yeah,
and he's on their defensive line.
1,000 yards last week.
Yeah, that is unbelievable. And now Mike's stat of the week, minus the dollar bills coming off his hand. This is just stats now coming off.
Hey, also about the Huntingdon defensive line, they held Bellwood to 6 points as well.
Yeah, think about that. And did Bellwood play Penn Cambria this year at all? I'm just curious. I'm trying to tie any kind of tie in there to see what this score might be.
But we obviously know Bellwood has a good running game. But anyway, since we did talk about Huntingdon there, I will return the favor and we'll talk about Penn Cambria.
I thought you were going to say, well, I'm going to talk about Huntingdon too. I'm like, well, I should put some Huntingdon names on my cool name, but we want to, anyways, go ahead.
So I did have it in my game notes, but some people might have missed it. So if you did, the Penn Cambria seniors finished with the victory over Forest Hills last week at home. And they finished their careers 23-0 at home. Never lost a home game. So it's got to be a pretty good feeling to every time you go back to that field for the rest of your life, you'll think, hey, I never lost here.
It is kind of cool. That is. And then we're going to finish up here. Feels like we had a longer time on the air last week. Like it's all the tomfoolery here. Too much serious stuff this week. Our cool names this week, and these two just jumped out at me. The one Mike might appreciate because it's going to remind him of a former Oakland Raider. But the first name is from DuBois. This kid's name is Samson Deeb. Deeb. He's a senior cornerback, running back.
Slammy,
number
slippy,
one.
Slappy.
Yeah, Samson Deeb.
Samsonite. Oh,
Samson Deeb. And then from Richland, Gino LaMonica. If there are older people out there watching us, they remember Daryl LaMonica. Was
Bomber.
the quarterback for the Oakland Raiders. But Gino is and I didn't even mention it being Italian either. It's just I saw the LaMonica name and it reminded me of the Oakland Raiders. Gino LaMonica, he's a center linebacker for Richland. So we had Samson Deeb. I just like how that. How'd you like to be like a high school girl? Hey, I'm going to the prom with Samson Deeb.
I knew it started with an S.
Well, and Gino LaMonica, it's a mix of two Raider quarterbacks, one very good and one very bad.
And who would that be? I wonder. But that's going to do us. We're going to figure out how many teams are we going to have next week for week 13 because we can have a possible 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we're going to at least one because the winner of Juniata Valley Claysburg we're going to get. And the others, we'll see. We're going to have to invent other segments of this show. To get it longer on the air.
I have faith in our team.
There we go. That's going to do it for week 12 for Dan Eisenberg, who's to the side of the camera, even though I'm looking right at the camera. Andy Stein, Mike Boyd, and Mom Scott Franco. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.